You are now listening to The Box Out with Kahlil Thomas and Jason Kahlil on the One Podcast Network. Let's get it.
From NJ to BK in the world, this is The Box Out here on the One Podcast Network. My name is Kahlil Thomas, and this is an episode of The Box Out After Dark. It sounds like some Showtime Skinamax shit. But no, we're here to talk basketball, strictly basketball. We want to do the show tonight because we want to talk about the NCAA women's bracket. We wanted to give them their flowers. I know Jay had something to do earlier, so our show got pushed to now, which is 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday night. If you're watching live, if you're going to watch the replay, thank you. Watch it whenever. And, I wanted to start coming with the basketball, women's college basketball tournament first. However, we had a little bit of breaking news happen. And the breaking news that happened at 3 a.m. on Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't even know when the hell it was. I know it was overnight. The WNBA and the Player Association finally came to an agreement. They now have a CBA, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Got kind of dicey. It's on my face. Something's on my face. Something's weird. Anywho, it was a little dicey. I was very bullish on whether the WNBA and the players would actually come to an agreement. I know Jason said 50-50. I was not as confident that they would get this done, but they did get it done. And some of the details behind it is there's something I want to bring up that was really important. Give me a second. It's late. All right. Player salaries. The cap last year for teams was $1.5 million. It will be $7 million in 2026. There will be a supermax. The supermax, which they kind of had in their last CBA, it was like $400,000. Wasn't a crazy amount. The supermax will now start at $1.4 million for the best players. Average salary now goes up to $600,000, which is up from $120,000, and the minimum salary will surpass $300,000, which was $66,000 last season. The Supermax is kind of complicated, and if you're eligible and you're all in WNBA, you can get it early, blah, 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 blah. But the big agreement was that they said, okay, the league said, we know what you want with revenue sharing. And I think that was the biggest kind of sticking point with this whole thing. The revenue sharing was big because the league was offering 3%. I think the players wanted somewhere in that range of like 30, 35%, which is insane considering that the league only owns 46% of the league. So the league probably went to them and said, we can't give you that much. But the agreed upon percentage is 20%. So the revenue share is at 20% for the players. The salary cap will move based on the revenue that the league makes. So you're going to see some fluctuation with that salary cap based on how good the league does, how profitable the WNBA is. And I can't see why it would be profitable when you have a $1 billion TV deal, you got private investment coming in, you have all these avenues of finances coming in when it comes to sponsorships, TV, product placement. I know the New York Liberty has like Xbox nights and stuff like that. So the idea that we won't see the salary cap jump above $7 million is laughable. We're going to see it jump, especially next year in 2027. The really big thing with this is it is a 7-year deal with the option of the players who opt out after year 6. So we're going to have at least 6 years of labor peace between the WNBA and the Play Association. And I'm hoping we actually get the 6 years, maybe 7. From first look, it obviously is not finalized. There's term sheets, there's all types of stuff that needs to go down. But essentially, the league has 1 month to get everything started. They're saying the season's still set to start in May. However, you still have to have a term sheet. You still have to have it all, the CBA agreed upon by the players and ratified, which is the majority. It's not like the U.S. Senate that need like 60 votes. Simple majority ratifies the agreement. I don't see the players going, "Yeah, we're good." No, you gotta wait. That's going to be probably towards the end of the month. Then we have an expansion draft. We got 2 new teams starting. We got to have an expansion draft. Then we have free agency. Most of the league are free agents. Like over 100 players are free agents in the WNBA. So you got to have free agency. You have the draft right after the NCAA women's tournament. That's going to happen. So the next month or so, it is going to be a dash for the league, for the teams. God bless the GMs, because they're going to get no sleep for the next month trying to figure out what they're going to do, how to compete, how to just become the best team they could. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. I'm happy it happened. Like I said, I was bullish on whether this was actually going to go down. I had my doubts. I will admit I had my doubts because it wasn't looking like they were coming to agreement. It seemed like the entire time they were completely behind the 8 ball. And there was no consensus anywhere. The league and the players could not agree on anything. They were just like, "Oh, no." Owners like, no, we don't want that. Players like, want this. Owners, no. Owners like, we want this. Players like, no. It just seemed like that. And we're going all the way back to the All-Star game last year when the players wore their shirts, pay us what we deserve. Going back to Jason and Kahlil, having her Nas ether moment on Kathy Engelbert. It seemed like this entire negotiation was contentious. And it seemed like both sides realized we have to sit down and just talk this out. Teams, owners, commissioner. You had the players rep, the Player Association president. You had players meeting till 1, 2 in the morning, night after night after night, saying we have to get this done for the. You cannot have a league have a work stoppage that is in the middle of exponential growth, and that's what we're seeing from WNBA. This league is growing at a very quick rate, and there's a rate that me as a fan was not expecting them to grow at. They're growing faster and faster, bigger and bigger year after year, and especially the last 3-4 years, where you're looking at ESPN pretty much got rid of Sunday Night Baseball. Not saying they did it for the WNBA, but Sunday Night Baseball went away, and now ESPN's like, we're going to give the women Sunday nights. NWSL, WNBA, we're going to showcase them over the summer. Sunday nights is theirs. If you weren't popular and there wasn't any buzz about you, pretty sure ESPN will not give you prime real estate on Sunday night during the summer and say, here you go, take that. So kudos to them. I'm very excited. I want to talk about the Supermax part too, which is interesting. This is from Alexa Philippou of ESPN, who's done an awesome job this entire time. So shout out to Alexa. The pending WNBA collective bargaining agreement will fast track the ability for players on rookie scale contracts, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, those players, to make maximum and Supermax salaries. The new provision called EPIC allows players to renegotiate their 4th-year salary and earn the standard max in that year if they are previously named All-NBA first team or second team, or the Supermax if they previously won MVP. And in the article, they give the example of Caitlin Clark, which I think is the prime example that you want to use here, because she stands to make a lot of money in the CBA. For example, 2024 Rookie of the Year Caitlin Clark, who made $78,000 last year, is poised to see her salary jump to $530 in 2026. Huge jump. she could earn the projected max of 1.3 in 2027 as a previous all WNBA player. She could then sign a $1.7 million supermax in 2028. So already we're seeing the example of Caitlin Clark, who very underpaid player for what she brings to the table. I know, very polarizing. We got to talk about that. She's a polarizing figure, but she made $78,000 last year. She's making $500,000 this year, and she's going to make the supermax, the max, and then the supermax back to back. This CBA benefits players like her, Paige Beckers, and Angel Reese if she learns how to, score more. Those players are going to see tremendous jumps in their salary. So it's going to be interesting to see how fast these jumps happen. And this new crop of players who are coming in, right? Michaela Blakes, Sarah Strong from UConn. See how they come in and see where they fit in this hierarchy. And, do they get all NBA first honors first year and then automatically first year, boom, supermax. So it's going to be kind of interesting to kind of see how it all kind of works itself out. But I'm interested. I'm interested to see the reaction of the players more so than anything else, because obviously you got to ratify it. There are going to be players who are going to be upset with the deal. That's just kind of what it is. Talking about union stuff, as a educator myself, I'm in a union, and for as much as a union does and what they negotiate and what they're able to kind of get, there's always that one or two or three or four or a couple people who are going to bitch and moan about what's in the CBA, what's in the bargaining agreement that was negotiated for days, weeks, months, hours after hour in a room that probably started smelling like feet and old food, and everybody's tired, and people are just like, are we done yet? So all the work that those people put into negotiating a CBA, you're going to have those people who are going to not like it and say, we didn't get this, we didn't get that. Why didn't we get that? We should hold out and get more. So the stories are going to come out from these ratification votes about those players who are going to be complaining about, we should have got this, we should have got that, we should have got more. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see and hear those stories of those players who are like, we sold out. We should have held out for more, and we didn't hold out for more. Because that story is bound to come out. That story is bound to come out of insert, I'm not going to say player names, but insert player here, bitching and moaning about not getting something that they should have gotten. Because that's just a way of union life. Union life is just that. People bitching and moaning about something. As someone who's a union guy, I can attest to that. People always find something to moan about. People always find something to complain about. And it's bound to happen. Bruce, what's going on? Obviously, Bruce, the host of Armchairing on Wednesday nights. Hopefully the product will be great this season. I think it will be. I'm curious to see how these rookies come out, because the tournament, I think the NCAA tournament, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes when Jason get on, this is the showcase to see those players that are going to step into the WNBA and become those next great names of the league. So I think you combine it with, Caitlin Clark gunning for a championship. You combine it with Angel Reese trying to bring Chicago up. Maybe she doesn't get traded because, she might be unhappy in Chicago, reportedly. Just saying. Can the Liberty bounce back? Who does the Liberty bring back? Do they bring back, Stewie, Sabrina, Jonquel, Benijah, and go, okay, this is our core four. Let's in this kind of get these pieces around it. Does Dallas take a step up finally? What happens with Toronto and Portland? Do they compete right away, or is it kind of a slog for them? Do they have a Golden State type season, or do they have a Tulsa shock season when Detroit moved to Tulsa and Tulsa just became a shit organization really, 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 really fast? So I think this season is going to be really fun to watch. And listen, you're going to have a lot of happy players making a whole lot of money now. Can't let that money get to your head. We don't want that. More money, more problems. Like Biggie said, we don't want that. feel like Arby Mayer right now from MSNBC, MS Now, whatever. So that did happen. I want to move on to the tournament for the women, and this is one of the reasons why we wanted to have the show tonight. Jason was called to work. He's like, "Can we do the show later, or we can do it in the weekend?" I'm like, "No, we got to give the women their flowers because we promised a tournament preview for the women's tournament, and God damn it, we're gonna do it." So I filled up my bracket, and if this bracket's anything like my men's bracket, it's probably already going to be messed up. So let's get right down to it as I bring up the brackets for everyone to see and enjoy. Right here. So there's the bracket, 2026 NCAA Division I Basketball Championship. And for the most part, the women's tournament usually stays pretty static, right? And you're pretty much playing with house money for the tournament. Rarely do you ever see major upsets. Rarely do you ever see anything major happen. I think you see more 16-over-1s in women's basketball. I think we see a couple of men's basketball this couple of years, but not a ton. But Bruce, I know, I'm aware. It is sad. I live a sad existence every March for the men and the women. So let's get right down to it. Right now, I have UConn, who are right here. I have UConn advancing. Minor upset. I got Syracuse going over Iowa State. I have Maryland. I have North Carolina, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Illinois. Oh, sorry, Colorado. I have Colorado beating Illinois, so that's an upset. And then Vanderbilt advancing on. I actually have, and to speed this up, I'm not going to go through every single game, but for the Fort Worth 1 region, which I hate how they do the regions and 4-4-3 and blah, blah, blah. I have UConn facing Vanderbilt in the Elite Eight to go to the Final Four. And I think that matchup for me is interesting because you have UConn undefeated and Vanderbilt 4 losses in the season. I saw them play live. They played here in New Jersey at Prudential Center during the Coretta Scott King Classic. And I saw Vanderbilt and Michaela Blakes, who I think is top 5 player in the nation, probably had one of her worst games of the year. And Vanderbilt still pulled the win out. I believe they played, I want to say Michigan. I want to double check that, but I'm pretty sure it was Michigan. And to have Michaela Blakes have a terrible game, but then also still win the game is very, very interesting to me. Shea Ralph, Vanderbilt's coach, former longtime assistant of Gino Auriemma in UConn, so she knows UConn style. She knows how UConn plays. So I think that matchup could be very interesting in Elite Eight. And I actually have in that matchup Vanderbilt going to the Final Four in this Fort Worth 1 region. So Vanderbilt is my 1 Final Four team. In the Sacramento region, still don't know. I don't know why I don't do the regional regions, but whatever. My Final Four: South Carolina, TCU. I have South Carolina and then USC. I think USC is going to beat Clemson, so that's your minor upset right there. Your 9/8. USC definitely struggled, and you could kind of say that because Juju Watkins is out for the season with her ACL injury. So, yes, do I think USC beats Clemson? Yes. Do I think they beat South Carolina? Absolutely not. I know Bruce said it. I think he might have said it on his show. Yeah, I think Bruce said it in his show that something seems off with South Carolina. Or Bruce or Jason said it. I can't remember who said it. It might have been Jason the other night too. Something seems off with South Carolina this year. It's Dawn Staley's team. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the problem seems to be, but something doesn't seem right with them. I do have them going to Elite Eight only because they will have faced USC in my bracket and then Oklahoma. Oklahoma's physicality scares me against South Carolina, but I think South Carolina matches up really well with Oklahoma because, South Carolina is very finesse this year, but I think Dawn Staley can turn it on and go physical when necessary. I have South Carolina facing TCU in the Elite Eight. Another team I saw in the Coretta Scott King Classic. I love Olivia Miles. I think Olivia Miles is one of the best point guards I've seen in the last men's or women's college basketball in the last 10 years. I think her and Hannah Hidalgo from Notre Dame are in the same lane. I think Miles is a little better. My issue with TCU, my issue with Olivia Miles is she dribbles a little too much for my taste. That's my only issue with her. I think watching her with the ball, she handles the ball a lot. She dribbles a lot. She shoots a lot. Does she average 9 assists a game? Yes. She will pass the ball, and her passing, her court vision's awesome. But you can get to a point with her where you watch her dribble the ball so much and you go, you got to drop that. You get that ball off. Get the ball to somebody else, right? So with her, I think that's the scary part with her because you don't know if she gets trapped in a corner, is she able to get it out? But I do have them going to the Elite Eight against South Carolina, and surprisingly, I have them beating South Carolina in this region to go to the Final Four to face Vanderbilt. So already I have a 2 and a 3 in the Final Four. No ones in these first two regions. So by all means, shit all over my bracket. I've completely shot the bed already. Moving on to Sacramento right here. UCLA Princeton. I have Princeton beating Oklahoma State. The only reason I have Princeton beat Oklahoma State because I'm a Jersey boy and I admit there's some bias. So I will say Princeton moves on to face UCLA and Lauren Betts. Ole Miss, Minnesota, Baylor, Duke, Texas, Villanova, Big East team. That's my other bias. Villanova advancing, and then I have LSU. Then your round of 32 would be UCLA, Princeton, Ole Miss, Minnesota, Baylor, Duke, which would be an awesome game, and then Villanova, LSU. I have UCLA, Ole Miss, Duke, and LSU advancing to the Sweet 16. Overall, in this region, I think it's UCLA's to lose. 31-1. The Big Ten this year was kind of a tough conference. I think Ohio State was low-key dangerous in that conference. Ohio State, Iowa, Penn State had some flashes. Oregon had some flashes. But I think Ohio State with one loss. Sorry, UCLA with one loss. I don't see them falling to any of these teams. I think Duke, when they face them here in the Elite Eight, that will be their biggest competition in this whole region. I don't see LSU beating Duke in the Sweet 16 here, mainly because I can't stand Kim Mulkey, but that's beside the point. I think Duke gives UCLA a little bit more trouble on the offensive end and rebounding, but I think UCLA pulls it out and they advance to the Final Four right here as well. In the Fort Worth region, I have Texas, Virginia Tech, Kentucky, West Virginia, Alabama, Louisville, Tennessee upsetting NC State in a 10-7 matchup, and in Michigan advancing to face Tennessee. I have Tennessee, Louisville, Texas, Kentucky advancing here to the Elite Eight. Sorry, Sweet 16. And then Texas, Louisville advancing to your Elite Eight. So Texas, Louisville will be your Elite Eight matchup on my bracket in the Fort Worth region. This one I struggled with. I struggled with this particular region because Texas, Louisville just seems like I don't want to say a dynasty because they've not won anything at all. But they're always in a conversation. One of those sleeper teams every year that can win it all. Can they make a run to Final Four and win one? Texas leans on Madison Booker heavy. And Madison Booker, I think I've said it for a year and a half since I saw her in person. She wears a 35 in Texas, and she plays like Kevin Durant 35 in Texas. Her game, her shot, down to the way she runs up and down the court, she looks like Kevin Durant. And it's dependent on, their success is dependent on Madison Booker. If Madison Booker's good, they're good. If she's not, they're not. And I think leaning so much on one player is dangerous sometimes because you don't know if they're going to have a bad game. All right? If you look at Notre Dame, it's the Hannah Hidalgo show. And if a dog was not having a good game, they're not having a good game. But I think here against Louisville, I think Madison Booker steps up, takes the reins, and Texas advances to your Final Four. So my Final Four is Vanderbilt, TCU, UCLA, and Texas. Vanderbilt here, TCU here. I have Vanderbilt beating TCU to advance to the championship game. And here I have UCLA and Texas. I have UCLA advancing to face Vanderbilt in the championship game on April 5th. And my national champion is the Vanderbilt Commodores. I'm going to take a whole lot of shit for this one. I think Vanderbilt wins the entire thing. Just seeing them live, and it helps to see a team live and not on TV. A lot of these teams I've seen on television, but to see 4 teams up close, I just saw FDU up close. They're in a tournament against Iowa down here. They won their conference, NEC, with an undefeated record. But to see Vanderbilt live, to see how hard they play, but also to see that even when the best player isn't having the best game, they're still able to pull one out, is awesome. It is an awesome, awesome thing to see, and something that honestly gives you hope to see that when your star player isn't playing well, you have other players that can step up and score in double digits, grab the rebounds. And Michaela Blakes, even though she wasn't good in that game that I saw live against Michigan, still distributed the ball really well and still did a lot of good work, even when she was having a bad shooting night. So it really helped that she did everything else great while just struggling completely and totally. As I welcome in Jason Corder. What's going on, bro?
Not much, man. How's your bracket doing after Texas beat BYU?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a minute because I'm pissed off already about my bracket. But I said we're gonna do the women's tournament. We had to do the podcast tonight. We had to get the women their flowers and dedicate the show to them.
Professional and collegiate.
That's right. So we talked about WNBA. I'm gonna go back to that and talk to you about that in a second. I started the show with that in the CBA.
Okay.
I went through my whole bracket. I'm not sure how much you heard.
Okay.
Tell me what you got real quick. Any upsets?
I pretty much got the same. Because I feel like the women's are going to go chalk until the Elite Eight, and I still think all the number ones are going to advance to the Final Four. So I kind of like where your brackets look, how it's shaping up.
Okay, so.
Don't tell me you got upsets. Don't tell me you got upsets.
I do. So I'm gonna tell you my Sweet 16, and you tell me. We'll start here. Sweet 16. All right, I got UConn, Vanderbilt. Sorry, yes. And wait, hold on. Oh, sorry. UConn, North Carolina. Here. I'm losing my shit. Okay, got it. Yeah. UConn, UNC, Ohio State, Vanderbilt.
Okay. That sounds about right.
UConn, Vanderbilt.
Okay.
I have Vanderbilt going to the Final Four.
Over UConn?
Yes.
Wow. I gotta hear this case.
So the case I made was, and complete bias on my part, I saw Vanderbilt live when they played in Jersey on MLK Day. Michaela Blakes had probably one of the worst games of her season. And they still won by double.
That was by design.
And they still won by double digits. So that right there showed me, I'm like, you know what? That's big. So that showed me right then and there, I'm like, their best player could have the worst game possible, and they still came out on top. And Shea Ralph is a Gino disciple. She was his longtime assistant coach. so she knows the system. She plays a similar system. I think the assistant, I think the student beats the master. Vanderbilt moves on.
I see your case. I just think Gino's gonna have those girls ready, and the room for error, the margin for error will be slim to none.
Okay. All right. Next one. So I can shock you some more. Sacramento region. South Carolina.
Okay.
Oklahoma.
Okay.
TCU. Iowa.
Of course, Iowa.
Okay. I have TCU facing South Carolina.
Okay.
And I have TCU going to the Final Four over South Carolina. Yeah.
Oh man, you're coming in hot. I mean, I have South Carolina definitely as one of my final two participants, but I gotta hear this case because shout out to UCLA because I have them winning. I had them as an upset, and I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I have them as an upset for at least to make it to the round of 32.
Well, the case is, I'm not sure if you said, I can't remember if you said it, Bruce said it, someone said it, or even maybe my dad said it in the chat. Someone said it during the our tournament preview Monday for the men. Something seems off with South Carolina this year. It's something just doesn't seem right. And I feel like TCU, Olivia Miles, even though I hate how much she holds onto the ball. The amount of time she dribbles is obscene.
Agreed.
But there's something about that matchup that I think really favors TCU. And their physicality and their size really match up with South Carolina, which a lot of teams can't say. So that's why I have TCU beat South Carolina.
So you think South Carolina is a byproduct of being in a bad bracket where now their flaws are going to get exposed for even reaching the Final Four?
I think against Oklahoma in the 3-16, I think some things start to get exposed. Against US, I haven't faced a USC in the round of 32, and I think USC without Juju is just a lost team. Even with the freshman that they have who's killing it, I think Juju not being there definitely kills that team. I think the Sweet 16 is where you start seeing the flaws. I think TCU takes advantage of those flaws.
Okay, I can see that. I can see the case for that.
All right. Sacramento region. UCLA, Ole Miss, Duke, LSU, and then Duke, UCLA, and then UCLA to the Final Four. I think you got them.
I got Duke going to the Final Four.
Oh, damn it.
I have a double Dookie, but a triple Dookie if you want to add the men's football. But yeah, I like what I'm seeing from Duke. I think they're well represented the ACC. I think they can hang with the upper echelons of the women in the women's tournament. So I got them coming out for that region.
Damn. So
that was my sweet upset, and it's not really an upset because they're a third seed, but still.
Yeah. So our first three teams are completely different. That's
like we said, the women's tournament brings that something different, where it's like you can't go chalk all the time. And I think, like you said, I think the gap between the Connecticut's and the South Carolinas to the pack have shrunk dramatically in the last 2 years.
All right, last bracket. Let's see this. Let's see if we match up on Fort Worth.
Okay.
Texas, Kentucky, Sweet 16.
Okay.
Louisville, Tennessee.
Okay.
Elite Eight, I have Texas, Louisville, Texas to the Final Four.
I have Texas to the Final Four.
All right.
I have that one.
We got one.
We got one.
All right. Woo! All right. So I got Vandy, TCU, UCLA, Texas. You have Texas, Duke, UConn, and South Carolina.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. I really went off the damn deep end here. Jesus Christ. And I did this shit last night. I sat down here.
It really looked
in my studio and saying really thought about it and looked back and thought back and did some research, and I was like, all right.
Okay.
So damn, all right. That's crazy. I think this might be the first bracket, men or women, that we've ever been completely different on.
That's good. That's good.
It's good for the viewers to see. Oh, they're not just on same page.
A little chaos won't hurt nobody.
Just a tad. So that's the women's bracket that starts up tomorrow. I know we've had the first four. Mm-hmm. Once again, no one gives a shit about the first four, so let's be honest on that one. I started the show talking about the CBA that was announced at 3 a.m. What were your thoughts on WNBA?
I thought it was
CBA?
A joke text. When I first saw it, I was like, this can't be real. Two, I don't want to get political, but I'm starting to believe you can't really believe anything you hear anymore, because I thought the numbers would have been totally worse in terms of a settlement. I thought the players actually came up, and it makes me wonder how much the players actually asked for.
I mean, they got the 20% revenue share.
Right.
They got the Supermax, which is 1.6, I think, 1.4, 1.6. They got the $7 million salary cap, which is probably going to be $10 million by the time the CBA ends, whether they opt out or not.
Yep.
The housing situation was rectified, but I think they rectified that months ago. That was one thing they agreed on. It's hard to say who. It's hard to say that the players just beat the shit out of the owners, or that the owners beat the shit out of the players. I feel like there was a happy medium somewhere in this deal.
I think it was a happy medium. We avoided a lockout, which would have been baseball all in the 90s all over again. It would have took them a while to get back. Everybody came to the senses, and I think everybody got a little bit of what they wanted. And now we could proceed with the season, get these drafts, get these free agents signed, and everybody make some money.
We say that, but then I said it before. I'm a union guy, and they still have to get this ratified, and there's always going to be someone complaining about a collective bargaining agreement. You're gonna have that corner. You're gonna have that peanut gallery. We should have got more. I don't like this, and then they'll.
This is a good starting point. I think this is a good starting point. So when they do it again, now you have some room to work with.
Listen, and we have at least 6 years of quiet. It's a 7-year deal. The players can opt out after 6, so we have at least 6 years of just go play ball. Shut the fuck up. Both sides, not just players.
Both sides
too.
Both sides. Yeah.
Everybody's making money. I'm hoping, and my question really to you is, the popularity of this league is growing. Are we going to get to a point with these next 6 years of, hey, NBA, can we get some of that share back and, give it to us, or give us our goddamn 40% back and let us run?
I'll give you one better. If the Indiana Fever can become the Houston Comets of the WNBA and roll off a couple of championships, be that villainous team, be the Heatles of the the 2010s, then I think now you're cooking. You're cooking with some real grease now.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. And the example I gave before is Caitlin Clark. How she's gonna go from making $78,000 last year to $500,000 this year, and then next year she could make 1.3 max, and then she could actually hit the super max after that because she's already been all at WNBA.
Yep.
So it's insane how this is going to work out for everybody. Now, Indiana goes on a run, like you said, or let's be honest, if the Aces turn into the NWO, and what?
I mean, they're right there. They're right there.
Yeah, I could totally see that. I feel like we always need a villain, and I feel like there's not really been a villain. I mean, if you're talking to Bruce Morrow, the villain's always a Liberty, but we don't have a villain. We don't have a villain quite yet. And I think Chicago was turning into that villain with Angel Reese, and I don't think that's the case anymore. Especially when I think
Teresa Weatherspoon would have definitely made them the villain. She would have doubled down on the coaching style, but my money's on Indiana Fever. They roll off 2 championships here.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with being a villain. Villains are fun. Villains are good people. I enjoy villains.
I agree.
Accept it. The Houston Astros still villains to the Yankee fans. It's been years. Still villains. So we got to do a bracket update, which kills me for the men. I'm gonna bring up the bracket. Currently, as it stands right now, it is trash. Duke should have lost that game today.
Shout out Sienna was game. They came out like we're gonna make history off the Dukies, and they just ran out. They ran out of. It was the Bruiser brothers, literally that saved Duke, both of them.
So if it up by 11 at halftime, I was like, oh shit, because I was at work, came home, I'm like, oh, and then Duke had 2 dunks. Sienna missed 2 dunks. Couldn't hit a shot. I was like, this is big. I think Jerry McNamara played his way into that Syracuse job officially. I think the job is his.
I think so. 1,000%.
I think he needed to get that win. He didn't get the win, but they played Duke to a 6-point loss. I think as a former Cuse player and doing what he did today, he's Syracuse's new head coach as of tomorrow.
I think Duke was favored by like 28 points in that game. I think that was the point spread.
Yeah, they looked ahead. They said, "Oh, Sienna, who cares?" They looked ahead, and they almost got Virginia'd. It was going to happen.
Yep,
it's going to happen. Cameron Boozer is overrated. His offense is trash.
You know, I wouldn't say overrated, but I don't see a top 3, top 4, top 5 hype. I'll admit that.
No, I mean right now you have AJ DeBenza is the number 1 pick. I know people are going back and forth between him and Peterson from Kansas. Peterson just rubs me the wrong way, and checking himself out of games and only playing a certain amount of minutes that killed me. The Bonza he's the number 1 pick, and I will go down with that. I know they lost to Texas tonight. Wasn't his fault at all. They also lost one of their guards 3-4 weeks ago, so I think that affected them too. But he's the number 1 pick in the draft, bar none. So Duke advances to they face TCU, who be Ohio State, who I had TCU, so I got that one right. Louisville, Michigan State, I had South Florida, so I'm out there. Going across, High Point beats Wisconsin. I had High Point. I'm very happy.
Wow.
Pick that one. Arkansas defeated Hawaii. Big whoop. Michigan advance over Howard. Georgia St. Louis right now. St. Louis 49-32. Did I have? I have St. Louis. I picked St. Louis on that one.
Nice. Oh wow. Okay.
Texas A&M, they advanced. And they're going to face the winner of Houston, Idaho. Houston's up by 24, so that's done. VCU beat North Carolina. Which
I didn't have that. I should have had that because I realized they were out without their best player.
Well, because honestly, I think the A10 against the ACC it lulls you in because Atlantic 10, what is that, St. Bonaventure? Like, no, who cares? But Phil Martelli Jr., former St. Joe's coach, his father, Phil Martelli. And it's VCU. VCU has a history in the NCAA tournament. So we should have known better with VCU North Carolina, honestly.
Should have gave him a better fighting chance, but congrats to them.
I picked Penn over Illinois. Illinois is currently winning by 17 points, so I'm going to lose that one. Vanderbilt, Nebraska is your second round matchup right above it. I had Troy beat Nebraska. I was a dumbass. So that's what we got right now. We got a couple of games going on the second. I tried watching that tournament fast break, and I could not keep my attention for more than 10 seconds. So I can't do that no more. I got to go game by game. So what are your thoughts so far? First night.
I feel like the gap between the higher seed conferences and the mid majors is not as large as we assumed. I thought Duke playing a close game it's a foreshadowing because I think we both said that if they could be had early and we'll see how that plays out. We'll see how St. John's and them look tomorrow. But for most overall, I think I like Michigan today. against the game Howard squad, who is that's still a work in progress for Howard. So no knock to them. But other than that, I think everyone who expected to look good looked okay, except for Duke. And I think Michigan, who I have winning this whole thing, is still my clear-cut favorite going into the next round over Saturday.
So, do you agree with Bruce that Hubert Davis should be fired tonight?
No, because they without their best player, and he's getting ready for the draft. And I just think if you asked me in the pecking order in the ACC, I would have had Virginia ahead of North Carolina. I thought North Carolina was kind of like not rebuilding, but this is a tweener year, so he shouldn't be fired. I think Hubert gets one more year, and it's North Carolina. They're not going to just, jettison him out of there real quick. They're gonna build the program back up. They got to get into this. They got to get like Duke, and they haven't got like Duke yet in terms of the one and dones. They haven't really bought in all the way. So until they do that, I'm not really taking them seriously.
Yeah, listen. They have a championship. Like Hubert got his championship. Hubert, it's his job right now. Hubert Davis is not getting fired from UNC anytime soon. You would have to see sustained like one and done for the next 5-6 years for Hubert Davis to lose his job in North Carolina. Once you win a title in North Carolina, you're set for life.
Pretty much.
Stuff like that's where we are with him. Like they ran into a buzzsaw, the best player was out. So already the excuses are going to be easy to make for him. Like you didn't have your best player. We get it. So chalk it up to they got caught. Duke almost got caught. UNC got caught. And I think that's what we got to look at. If
Duke would have lost to Siena, we wouldn't even have paid this any mind. But like, oh, ACC down here. Overrated.
I mean, we can say that now. We can say that now. And I'm okay saying it. I'm good with that. So, yeah, listen, I got a lot of basketball to watch. I know you do. I know you just got home from work, so I want you to go chill out and relax and watch the second half. So we're going to end it here. Jay, thanks for popping on. Appreciate it.
Of course, no doubt.
So, of course, we'll be back our normal night on Thursday. We had 2 shows this week. When was the last time we did 2 shows in a week? In two shows in 3 days.
Look at that. It's been a while.
That's content. That's content, goddammit. Content. How we do it here, goddammit. So we'll be back Thursday unless something crazy happens, like the WNBA Players Union does not ratify the contract. We'll be back early in the Thursday.
Don't say that. Don't say that. That's some good money they're about to get.
Listen, we'll see what happens. Armchair every Wednesday with Bruce. Bruce did a whole 20 minutes about soccer last night and explaining the rules and shit. So I was into it because I know soccer, but I was like, I know that. Oh shit. So Bruce is your man for everything basketball, football, soccer, football, whatever you want to call it. So check him out on Wednesdays. We'll be back next Thursday. Enjoy the weekend of basketball. Let's go Princeton Tigers over to Oklahoma State Cowboys, Cowgirls, Cowpokes, whatever you call them. Let's go Princeton women's college basketball. For Jason and Kahlil, thanks so much. Peace.
This has been The Box Out with Kahlil Thomas and Jason Kortner. Subscribe now for the best tri-state area basketball talk.